for holding this hearing, Chairman Reichert, and Ranking Member Doggett for providing me the opportunity to testify today, but also your leadership today as well as yesterday on the bill that we passed on a bipartisan basis yesterday on the floor. As the co-chair of the Congressional Caucus on Foster Youth, I'm very appreciative of your ongoing commitment to improving outcomes for foster youth and families. As I've traveled throughout the country as part of the Foster Youth Caucus National Listening Tour, it's been devastating to hear that children involved in the child welfare system, particularly those that experience multiple placements, are especially susceptible to coercion and manipulation by traffickers. In Los Angeles, there's a specialized collaborative courthouse. This court is designed to serve commercially exploited youth, and they report that 80% of the girls have been previously involved in the child welfare system. Increasingly, in the Los Angeles area and other large cities, gangs are engaging in commercial sexual exploitation too, selling girls in addition to drugs and guns. It's clear we need a comprehensive approach to prevent the victimization of our children. Child welfare and law enforcement must work together in a coordinated fashion to meet the needs of young survivors and prevent the exploitation of others. Unfortunately, the child welfare system as a whole has not truly recognized trafficking as a crisis within the foster care population, and they haven't incorporated protocols and systems to address the problem. I had an experience in Los Angeles where I was talking to a child welfare director, and I asked him about the problem of sex trafficking in the area around the office. He told me it didn't exist. The day before, I had been with the FBI, and they said that the area right around that neighborhood was one of the most trafficked areas. And so the Child Welfare Agency wasn't even aware of it. To address the gaps, I've introduced H.R. 1732, the Strengthening Child Welfare Response to Trafficking Act, along with my colleague and co-chair of the Congressional Caucus on Foster Youth, Representative Tom Marino. Primarily, the bill would help establish local plans to combat trafficking, as well as ensuring national data collection in several important ways. The bill requires child welfare agencies to report missing, abducted or trafficked youth to law enforcement within 72 hours for entry into the National Crime Information Center database. Oftentimes, these children are just viewed as runaways. The bill amends the Child Abuse Protection and Treatment Act to ensure that states develop comprehensive multi-agency plans to identify and provide services to all victims of trafficking. This would be inclusive of foster youth as well as other youth who might be commercially exploited. In addition to local planning and data collection, the bill directs the Department of Health and Human Services to submit a report to Congress that outlines the prevalence and trends of trafficking amongst child welfare youth, both state by state and nationwide, develops a proposal to collect annual data from state agencies, and proposes an ongoing method of supporting and monitoring efforts of local child welfare agencies to prevent trafficking and serve victims. Finally, the Strengthening Child Welfare Response to Trafficking Act directs the Department of Health and Human Services to develop and publish guidelines to assist child welfare agencies in serving youth who are victims of trafficking and preventing the exploitation of youth at risk from becoming victims. Although HHS recently released guidance to child welfare agencies on this topic, there is room for additional resources and specific tools. As outlined in the bill, the guidelines would provide example training materials and screening tools, service delivery strategies, protocols for effective cross-system collaboration, best practices related to residential placement, recommendations for documentation and data collection. Something else that needs to be addressed on a state level are girls who have been involved in the system who have criminal records and have turned their life around, and now they need to have those records expunged, because we understand moving forward these girls should have never been arrested for soliciting to begin with. In conclusion, we cannot continue to fail our nation's children. As federal legislators, we have a tremendous opportunity to ensure that local plans to prevent exploitation are in place, as well as collect the necessary national data to inform future federal strategies. While many of the social services needed to properly serve trafficked youth may require a monetary investment, these first steps do not require additional federal funding. It's been encouraging to see momentum on this issue throughout the 3 years I've served in Congress, and I look forward to continuing working with my colleagues.